I won an argument with a COVID denialist by using facts and logic and changed their mind. It's possible. All these articles say that, oh, you can't do it, you have to rely on emotion or because their ego is tied into it. It is possible, and I will tell you how. I did it in 3 simple steps. Step number 1. There's a thing called total mortality, and it doesn't change a lot. The total amount of people who die in Chicago in February is not going to be that different from the total amount of people who died in Chicago in February the previous year. And I said this to my friend, like, look, after COVID arose, the total mortality all over the world just went up. And is there another reason for this? Because it usually doesn't change unless there's a war or a natural disaster or an epidemic. So my colleague was like, yeah, sure, sounds plausible. Step number 2. This increase in total mortality, especially at the beginning of COVID, was way bigger in blue states than in red states. So the Democrat states. And what different do those states have? Well, one is population density. If you look at the election map, almost the entire map votes for Republicans because they have the same amount of people in a way bigger land area. So I said to my colleague, doesn't this show that COVID is infectious and especially in dense population? And he was like, yeah, that makes sense. So perhaps one should isolate, so the isolation mandates are not total bullshit. Let's get on to step number 3. This increase in mortality in blue states and red states flipped. It totally flipped. Blue states started having less increase in total mortality, and red states started having way more. And when did this flip? There were 2 major parts. The first one was when people started isolating, but red states did not isolate as much. They had all the church gatherings and whatever. This would mean that isolation is good. And another huge one was vaccination, because the vaccination percentages were just considerably higher in blue states than in red states. And it matters whether it's like 60 or 80 or something, because you don't only protect yourself, you protect others. So a higher vaccination percentage decreases mortality. I said this to my friend, and what happened? He was silent for a while, I'm guessing thinking through the 3 points. And then he said, Tommy, that's a fair analysis. But I was on a roll. I was energetic, so I just kept going. I'm like, look, because it's total mortality, then it doesn't matter how the deaths are registered. It all shows into... And he said, Tommy, enough. And I think I convinced him. Why? Because this guy is always on my case. Unless he's totally certain that I'm not wrong, he'll keep pestering me, and he hasn't pestered me for a while. That's all. Tommy out.